DC Fandome was one big present for DC fans everywhere. The event was jam-packed with some amazing reveals, but the most exciting was of course the brief teaser for Matt Reeves and the Batman. Although only a small portion of the film has been shot so far, that didn't stop the film from delivering one of the most exciting teasers in a long time. Not only does it give us a major glimpse of our new Batman going full-on vengeance, but it also confirms what we've expected for a while. The Riddler looks to be the film's main villain, and his goal and motivations seem to be much more sinister than we ever expected. So let's hop into our new awesome Batmobile, and let's break down what this new Riddler wants and what his presence means for the larger DCEU right now. Riddle me this. Who's that scary duct tape loving new figure that seems to be terrorizing Gotham City's biggest mobsters? That would be the brand new live action version of the Riddler, Batman's classic rogue with a genius IQ and a tendency to leave riddles at the scene of his crimes in order to prove just how smart he really is. But I think it's forgivable to not realize just who this villain is right away based on this first teaser. In the versions of Riddler that we've seen before, the character is a bit more quirky and has a tendency to wear bright green clothing with some question marks added in just for flair. If you're only a fan of Batman movies and not the comics, you probably only have Jim Carrey's goofy version of the character in your head. That version, as well as a lot of comics versions, see the character as obsessed with proving he's the smartest person ever, and that constantly causes him to try to outwit and outsmart Batman, who not only tends to triumph over Riddler's games and riddles every single time, but it usually ends with Riddler getting a much-needed punch in his smug face. But you should prepare yourself for something completely different in Matt Reeves' movie, because it looks like the director has taken the character in a brand new direction. And I gotta say, although it's not what we're used to with Riddler, it looks fantastic. But what does he want here? Obviously, all we have is a brief teaser, and with only 25% of the movie shot, it's going to be a while before we get a full-on reveal of this villain's plans and motivations. But that's not to say we don't have a ton of new information now. If there's one word that sticks out from this first look, it's lies. It's riddled all over this teaser. The Riddler in this film doesn't look like the normal egomaniac who's trying to prove he's the smartest person in any room, but rather he seems determined to expose Gotham's corrupt elite for what they really are. But his methods seem a little extreme, proven by his seeming tendency to duct tape his victims' faces up and write "no more lies" over it. This Riddler seems fed up with the corruption around him and has taken it upon himself to take out the trash, so to speak. So there might be a more personal reason for the Riddler to be doing this that will be revealed later, but for now, that's an interesting route to take with this character. Not only because it's a little different than what we've seen before, but also because it kind of means him and Batman are similar characters here. Both of them are working outside the law in order to take down Gotham's worst. But the difference seems to be the Riddler doesn't mind taking lives, both bad and probably good, in order to accomplish his twisted sense of justice. And that's probably why he feels connected to Batman. We see in the trailer that the villain is leaving notes to Batman, calling himself Batman's secret friend, which suggests that the Riddler thinks him and Bats are ultimately on the same side here. This not only creates a fascinating villain, but it's also going to challenge Batman in a way that hasn't been seen since the Dark Knight movie. The best villains ever are the ones who fundamentally challenge and change our protagonist's beliefs, and it's important to understand this Batman's mindset. This has been called his Year 2, so he's still getting a sense of what he's doing and what he's fighting for. But the question is he doing this for justice or for something personal? The standout moment in the trailer comes when Batman beats up a criminal and declares,
"I'm vengeance."
Now, vengeance is entirely different from justice, wouldn't you say? I think this teaser proves what the theme of this movie is going to be. We hear the Riddler telling Batman that
You're part of this too.
but just has to see how. And I agree, Batman needs to open his eyes to the world around him. Once Batman has to go up against a villain who claims he's doing this for justice, he'll be forced to evaluate why he's suiting up in the first place, and hopefully come out at the end a better hero than he was before. Overall, Matt Reeves seems to be crafting a very character-driven tale that dives into what makes the Bat so batty in the first place. This is mainly going to be done by the Riddler, but don't forget, Catwoman and Penguin also will factor into this movie. Penguin is a genuine wildcard here who will probably use the chaos the Riddler is causing with the mob to maybe beef up his control of Gotham's underworld? Yeah, it could happen. And given Catwoman's past appearances, it's likely she'll also challenge Batman's beliefs on what true justice should be. Now, all these villains could result in an overstuffed movie, but I think Matt Reeves will use all of them to really build out Gotham City for this new trilogy. We know that obviously this version of Batman takes place outside the established Earth we've seen in the DCEU, and interaction with other heroes will probably be minimal. That means it falls on the characters in this movie to flesh out this corner of the DCEU, and with Riddler front and center, I don't think that will be a problem. This movie was a huge question mark before, but thanks to this teaser, we're finally getting some answers. What do you think of our first official look at the Batman? Do you like this new version of the Riddler? Let us know in the comments below, and be sure to hit that subscribe button before we end up on Riddler's bad side. Thanks for watching CBR. See you next time.